Okay, so now it's official. We've started the recording. Okay, so here's Millennial Dawn. So one point that I want to make is that, you've got the book link right here. If you just click on that, and go in there, you can download the book, Millennial Dawn. And then, of course, we have the Facebook group over here that you can go to as well. Find that link. Okay, so to begin with, I'm kind of going to explain sort of how I came to my understanding of uh, of the second coming here. And it started with this statement by Ezra Taft Benson, which I think most people are familiar with. It says, he said, his first appearance will be to the righteous saints who have gathered to the New Jerusalem. In this place of refuge, they will be safe from the wrath of the Lord, which shall be poured out without measure on all nations. So that's his first appearance. And note that it is for the purpose of refuge. And then he mentions the second. He says, the second appearance of the Lord will be to the Jews, to those beleaguered sons of Judah, surrounded by hostile Gentile armies, who again threaten to overrun Jerusalem. The Savior, their Messiah, will appear and set his foot on the Mount of Olives, and it shall cleave in twain, and the earth shall tremble and reel to and fro, and the heavens shall also shake. The Lord himself will then rout the Gentile armies, decimating their forces. Judah will be spared, no longer to be persecuted and scattered. And then his statement on the third appearance. He says the third appearance of Christ will be to the rest of the world. All nations will see him in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory with all the holy angels. So I look at it like this. We have here these three events, okay, that he mentions. The first one is to the saints. And, so if you are reading the statements on the second coming and you see something that talks about the saints or America or the New Jerusalem, anything related to that, that's going to be his first appearance. And what you notice here is with these three appearances that you have chronology here. Okay. If you want to learn about his second appearance, is to the Jews. So read in the scriptures where it talks about his appearance to the Jews. There's an awful lot in the Old and New Testament here. And so it isn't just members of the church who have a lot of knowledge about that second appearance. It's all Christians have access to a lot of knowledge, although we have an advantage, okay, in the church. And then the third appearance to the rest of the world. So what happens if you really study all of these scriptures that have to do with the Lord's first appearance and you read them together, it paints a picture. So you get a mental picture of what that's going to be like, what events are going to happen, what things are going to be going on. Let me see here. I want to see if, okay, I heard a ding. I was looking to see if someone else had joined us, but I don't see that. Okay, I guess not. And so the same is true of the second appearance and of the third appearance. And so when you've got those three pictures in your mind and you put them together, you have a panoramic view. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So let's go here to Joseph Smith Matthew. And this is a good starting point. So in verse 32, and again shall the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel be fulfilled. And immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. So you see that there's that relationship, very close relationship between the abomination of desolation and the Lord's first appearance. And then you note that he says that he comes at this time with power and great glory. So I know Ezra Taft Benson said that he comes with power and a great glory at the third appearance, but that's not exclusive. Okay, because here we're talking about him coming to the saints as witnessed here in verse 37. And whoso treasureth up my word shall not be deceived, for the Son of Man shall come, and he shall send his angels before him with the great sound of a trump, and they shall gather together the remainder of his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Okay, hold on just a second. I heard a ding.
I did too.
Let me see if there's
I think Mark left.
okay. Maria's here. Okay. So yeah, Mark may have left. I don't know. But Maria's here as well. Hello, Maria.
Hello.
Okay. We've started here. Did you have difficulty getting on?
No, I just had to wait a little bit. Sorry about that. All my kids are here for Mother's Day, and so
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah, sorry about that.
Understandable. Well, we are recording, so we may be able to make this available to everyone, even that which we've covered already. But we're still just kind of getting started here. But back to the presentation, in verse 37, he says, the Son of Man shall come, and he shall send his angels before him with a great sound of a trump, and they shall gather together the remainder of his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So you notice that this was given, on the mount to his apostles 2,000 years ago. Let's see hold on. Okay, Mark may have left or maybe he just got cut off. I don't know, but I've put him back. He's back on. So okay. Okay, so the point here is that this really is how the saints are gathered. You notice the state that they're in. They're gathered from the four winds. They're not really gathered in in Missouri or anywhere like that. And this is the statement that the Lord gave, on the mount, and it has never changed. So that's what we expect and what we need to look for. Okay.
Frank, I have a question. So when you say they're gathered from the four winds, meaning just from every part of the earth, or
yes.
Okay.
So I take it from this that the saints are going to be just like they are right now, all around the world, and that
he'll come with great glory and appear to them with his angels, is what that was saying, correct?
Well, yeah, he's going to come, but he'll send his angels ahead. See, he says before him. Okay, he'll send them ahead, and they will gather, the saints from the four winds. Okay, and we'll talk here in a second about where that's gathering is going to be too.
Okay.
Okay, so here's a neat quote. Walden Mace, a trustworthy church member in Nauvoo, reported that he heard Joseph Smith speak of the sign of the coming of the Son of Man, which all should see, and that it would be the return of the city of Enoch to the earth. That's nice to know, isn't it? So when we see that sign, when we see the sign of the Son of Man up in the heavens, it's going to be the city of Enoch. Worth knowing, don't you think?
Exciting, yes.
Okay. So let me check one other little tidbit here. Okay. Okay, I guess Marina's in charge of whether or not she wants to mute. What's going on?
I'm muted.
Okay, hold on. What's happening here? I just lost the presentation, but I'll get it back here. Let's see. I'm trying to manage too I'm trying to manage too much stuff here. Okay. So we had read about this. Okay. So here, whole system resources affecting audio quality. Okay. So here in Moses chapter 7, we read in verse 19, and Enoch continued his preaching in righteousness unto the people of God. And it came to pass in his days that he built a city that was called the city of holiness, even Zion. So what do we learn from that? We get two names for the city of Enoch, right? City of holiness in Zion. And then the other term is Enoch City, right? So we have three terms that mean the same thing. And then as we go to verses 62 and 63, and righteousness and truth will I cause to sweep the earth as with a flood, to gather out mine elect from the four quarters of the earth, unto a place which I shall prepare, an holy city. It's going to be gathered to a holy city. Well, that's what the city of Enoch is, right? A holy city. That my people may gird up their loins and be looking forth for the time of my coming. For there shall be my tabernacle. Okay, that's another term for the city of Enoch. And it, the antecedent of it is my tabernacle, shall be called Zion, a new Jerusalem. So what we have here is 5 terms for the city of Enoch. And one of the most significant ones is God's tabernacle, because it has to do with the Feast of Tabernacles. And the Lord said unto Enoch, then shalt thou and all thy people meet them there. So who's the them? Well, it's those who are going to of the elect who will be gathered from the four quarters of the earth. Okay, that's these folks right here. Okay, that the angels will gather. Okay, so here's another quote from Elder McConkie, which talks about Adam-ondi-Ahman. And Susan, would you read that for us? Or can you see it?
Sure. Yes, I can. It says, the Father called all spirits before him at the creation of man and organized them. This was the grand council in heaven, of which we so often speak. He, Adam, is the head and was told to multiply. He, under Christ, was at the head in pre-existence, and he, under Christ, is at the head, so far as all things pertaining to this earth are concerned. The keys were first given to him, and by him to others. He will have to give an account of his stewardship, and they to him. And as all the spirits of men attended the and as all the spirits of men attended the grand council in pre-existence, so all the righteous shall attend a like council at Adam-ondi-Ahman before the winding up scenes. The millennial Messiah is where this is from.
Okay. So what's the important part here is that we understand that all the righteous will be attending the meeting at Adam-ondi-Ahman. And any guesses as to how they're going to get there?
I don't have any conception of how we would be there in person, all the righteous. So it'd have to be maybe like a conference. I don't know. What's your take on this?
Okay. Well, the answer is right here. Okay. These angels are going to gather everyone up and remember what it says, that he's here that he will send the angels before him or ahead, okay, to gather everyone so that when he comes, they'll all be there. That makes sense?
Okay. It does. And I like that it said, I've heard a lot of different things where just the priesthood would be there, or, it'd be a smaller group. I love that it says all the righteous. So those that are willing, and what's the word? that are worthy.
Yeah.
Will be there. That's exciting.
And it's the righteous from all dispensations. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the righteous from all dispensations.
That just blew my mind, because of course it would, because each priesthood holder that had the key has to be there. It would just be this latter generation. Yeah. That's exciting.
So it was, I used to read all of this stuff. It was Joseph Fielding Smith in some of his early writings, who expressed it as, fewer people, maybe only those holding priesthood keys, but over time, his comments, he modified that a little bit. But then in the statement that we read by Elder McConkie, I find Elder McConkie's statement to be absolutely wholly in harmony with what's in the scriptures, so and as you look through the scriptures, you find that the same concepts are repeated. So, okay, so we're back at this again, this same quote here, but now we're going to take a little bit of a different angle here. And again, we see that the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, okay, and that immediately after that, the sun is darkened, the moon doesn't give her light, stars are fall from heaven, the powers of heaven shall be shaken, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven.
Wow.
And so, wouldn't it be a good idea to know what this abomination of desolation was about?
Yeah.
We know that it comes immediately after, right? So if we know what that is about, that would behoove us to find out. And so we're going to let Ezra Taft Benson tell us what it's about. And this was from a conference talk in 1961. He says, but on the other hand, if the Gentiles on this land reject the word of God and conspire to overthrow liberty in the Constitution, then their doom is fixed, and they shall be cut off from among thy people of the covenant. Okay, so are the Gentiles on this land conspiring to overthrow liberty in the Constitution?
Absolutely.
they're they're doing it on steroids, right?
Yes, they are.
You know, the our present administration is out to get us. Okay, and if you look this part about being cut off, it's a pruning, isn't it? They're going to be cut off, and that comes from 3 Nephi 21:11. That's Moses saying that. Okay. Well, anyway, Ezra Taft Benson goes on to say, he says, the great destructive force which was to be turned loose on the earth, and which the prophets for centuries have been calling the abomination of desolation, is vividly described by those who saw it in vision. Ours is the first generation to realize how literally these prophecies can be fulfilled now that God, through science, has unlocked the secret to thermonuclear reaction. So that sounds kind of grim.
Yeah, that does sound awful.
Okay. But then again, but the Lord is gonna that's gonna happen. But the conclusion is that the wicked are going to be cut off, not the righteous. Okay.
Yeah, and if you, I'm sorry to interject, but according to what you just said, I mean, the righteous would have just had that grand spiritual experience of Adam-ondi-Ahman, so I feel like that would kind of buoyed up those that will have to go through this last part.
And they're not, and once they're at Adam-ondi-Ahman, they're not going back anytime soon, because the city of Enoch comes, which is the New Jerusalem, and so our sanctuary is present at that point. Okay. Now, there's another statement here by Bruce R. McConkie on this topic as well. He says, it may be, for instance, that nothing except the power of faith and authority of the priesthood can save individuals and congregations from the atomic holocaust, which surely shall be. Now, what I find kind of interesting, see, he's letting us know that individuals and congregations of the saints are going to experience this. We're not just, we don't get a free pass. Okay. Let me see if somebody else has joined us here. Okay. We've got 4 of us. Is everybody? I think okay. I'm just checking. Okay. So he says, and so we raise the warning voice and say, take heed, prepare, and watch and be ready. There is no security in any course except the course of obedience and conformity and righteousness. For thus saith the Lord, the Lord's scourge shall pass over by night and by day, and the report thereof shall vex all people. Yea, and it shall not be stayed until the Lord come. Nevertheless, Zion shall escape if she observe to do all things whatsoever I have commanded her, saith the Lord. But if she observe not to do whatever I have commanded her, I will visit her according to her works, with sore afflictions, with persecution, with pestilence, with plague, with sword, with vengeance, with devouring fire. So, and the way I take that is, if you're the righteous, you don't have to worry about this. But if you're supposed to be, of Zion, but you're not living up to it, then you really don't get to escape the bad stuff that the world does. Okay. But the Lord will deliver his saints. So that just gives us a confirmation of what Ezra Taft Benson said. Okay, so here in Revelation 13, well, there are 2 beasts in Revelation 13. And the first beast really is the wicked Gentiles, the people that we're dealing with right now. And they, in verse 7, it says, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints. Do you feel like there are people in this country that are making war with the saints? Kind of does feel like that, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so to make war with the saints and to overcome them. So how do they make war with the saints and overcome? Well, I think there's a lot of things going on that we could comment on, but I think the two primary ones are, one, that corrupting the Constitution, and second, corrupting the vote. Because if they don't observe the Constitution and won't honor the vote, you know, they're not going to play fair. You've lost it. The game's over. Okay. Now, John also goes on to tell us what happens to this beast. He says in verse 10, he says, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. And that atomic, nuclear event is warfare, right? And then if we go up here into verse 5, we read, and the power was given unto him to continue for 42 months. And so these wicked Gentiles, this cabal that's trying to take over the nation, is limited to or reaches an apex, because they've been doing this wicked stuff for a long time. But they reach an apex, and that apex lasts for 42 months. So the question, when did the 40, excuse me, when did the 42 months begin, and when will it end? So as we mentioned, it really is, I mean, our own government is warring against us. And so the present administration is doing everything they can to take us down. But the thing that in understanding that these are the bad guys, okay, we know when the 42 months started, because we know when Inauguration Day was, right? January 20th, 2021. We count forward to 42 months, or 1,260 days, and we arrive at July 3rd, 2024. So I didn't just count all the days on my fingers. I just went to Google and says, okay, add 1,260 days to January 20th, 2021, and July 3rd was the date that was given me by Google. And so, maybe I didn't ask the question right exactly, but this got to be pretty close to the first part of July. Okay, but no worries, because the Lord will come immediately after the tribulation of those days, right? So it's going to be testing and trying, but it happens right after immediately after the tribulation of those days. So the question is, let me go back here. Do we have a scripture that confirms the timing of early summer, or, this date up here? So let's go to Orson Pratt. He's given us a commentary here on chapter 18. And Susan, would you read that first paragraph for us?
Sure. Read the 18th chapter of Isaiah. Isaiah was standing in Palestine, delivering his prophecy, looked off to the southwest and saw the rivers of Ethiopia, or Africa. And after having seen these rivers in vision, he also sees a land shadowing with wings away beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. What kind of land was that? Away beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, from where Isaiah stood in Palestine. Why is it? I'm sorry, I'm on my phone, so I'm having to go back. Why is a land that had the appearance of wings? You have been struck doubtless with the great resemblance that the North and South America excuse me, I'm so sorry, that the North and South America have the two great wings of a bird. While Isaiah was thus gazing upon a land away beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, it looked so much like the wings of a bird that he says, a land shadowing with wings away beyond the rivers of Ethiopia.
Okay. So what Orson Pratt is explaining here is that in Isaiah is seeing America,
Right.
the land shadowing with wings, which of course is where the gospel is, where the restoration begins, and the place from which the gospel goes out to the world in the latter days. Okay, and then he says, so that's sort of what we get from that first paragraph, and then he says, what else is to take place, Isaiah? He says that a severe judgment is to take place upon the land shadowing with wings. What kind of judgment? One that is to be very severe, Isaiah? Yes. For he says, for the harvest, when the bud is perfect and the sour grape is ripening in the flower, he shall both cut off the sprigs with pruning hooks and take away and cut down the branches. Now, you notice that language right there? That's pruning language again, isn't it? Okay. So it says, and they shall be left together unto the fowls and the mountains, fowls unto the fowls of the mountains and to the beasts of the earth. The fowls shall summer upon them, and the beast of the earth shall winter upon them. So this is going to be pretty tragic. It's going to be so bad that they won't be able to bury the dead. And so, but here you see, Isaiah confirms that the birds are going to summer upon them. So then you see what that gives us, a date that's consistent with early July. Okay. We went the wrong direction there. Okay, so now we're going to shift gears here, and we're going to talk about the feasts of Israel. And I don't know if you're familiar with the feasts, but these were given in the 23rd chapter of Leviticus, where Moses gives this to the Hebrew people, and it's generally divided into two categories here. So the spring feasts are Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, and weeks or Pentecost. Okay, and these feasts are prophetic in nature. Christ was crucified on Passover, was in the tomb during unleavened bread, and was resurrected on first fruits. And then 7 weeks later comes the Feast of Weeks or Pentecost. So these feasts were given around like 1,500 years earlier by Moses, and they foreshadow events that would be fulfilled during the Lord's ministry among the Jews. Okay. Now, Bible scholars believe that the fall feasts, trumpets, atonement, and tabernacles will see fulfillment at the Lord's second coming. And we concur with that because they're yet to be fulfilled. However, these scholars expect to see these fulfilled when the Lord appears to the Jews, because they're unaware that the Lord will first appear at Adam-ondi-Ahman to his saints here in America. Okay. So it makes sense that the fall feast would be fulfilled in conjunction with the events to unfold at Adam-ondi-Ahman. And so I'm going to propose that the Feast of Trumpets and Atonement will be fulfilled at the gathering at Adam-ondi-Ahman, and the Feast of Weeks or Pentecost will be fulfilled at the gathering at Adam-ondi-Ahman. when those who have held keys will report their stewardships, remit keys back to and remit keys back to Adam. When this process is accomplished, and during the Feast of Tabernacles, those who are in attendance will look to the clouds, as Daniel tells us, and see the Son of Man coming. So they're down upon the earth. They look up and they see the Son of Man coming. And we can read about that in Daniel chapter 7. He says, I saw in the night's vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Hey, any questions? Okay. So as we look at these fall feasts, we see that, okay, so the fall feast in 2024 will commence with trumpets on October 3rd, atonement on the 12th of October, and tabernacles on the 17th. And what is it Joseph Smith said about the Lord's coming? He says, then will appear a grand sign of the Son of Man in heaven. But what will the world do? They will say, it's a planet, a comet. But the Son of Man will come as the sign of the coming of the Son of Man, which is as the light of the morning cometh out of the east. So we talked earlier about Enoch, and you recall that Enoch, the city of Enoch, is also God's tabernacle, right? So it makes sense that he would return during tabernacles. And so we ask the question, do we know of anything about a comet that will be manifest during the Feast of Tabernacles in 2024?
I don't know of a comet, but we do have the eclipse.
Okay. Well, let's go to YouTube here, and we'll watch a couple of quick videos. Uh-oh, no sound. See what's going on.
It's currently between Saturn and Jupiter, traveling at 180,610 miles per hour. The comet is estimated to make its closest approach to Earth on October 13, 2024, and if it stays intact, it may be visible in amateur telescopes as early as June 2024. At its peak, the comet may be as bright as the brightest stars in the sky, with a potential brightness of magnitude -5, similar to Venus at its brightest. This would be brighter than the green comet C, 2022 E3 that just passed by Earth in January 2023. Skywatchers may get their best views in late October 2024, as the comet moves through the constellation Serpens and Ophiuchus. Excitement is building among astronomers and skywatchers as they wait to see if C, 2023 A3 will live up to its potential.
Okay, so he's talking about this comet, which is, it's a C/2023 A3, and it's on its way. It's supposed to arrive in October of 2024. Is that interesting?
That is crazy. I hadn't really heard about this, so that's amazing.
Okay, so let's go back, and we're gonna watch another video here. Okay, so in this, what we're seeing is Earth here. Earth is rotating around the sun in a counterclockwise direction. And I think what we're seeing, the perspective here is we're looking down on Earth on the North Pole, okay, of Earth. And while this comet, this C/2023A3 is coming back around in the clockwise direction. And you see the date right here. I don't know if you can see that, September of 2024. It'll be close to this position. There will be a time when the sun will be between the Earth and the comet, and we'll lose track of it for a little bit. But then it will come back out from behind the sun and tracks on along. So if this is the city of Enoch coming, I'm assuming that it will slow and change trajectory and meet up with Earth in time for the fall feast of 2024. Is that mind blowing?
That is so fascinating. This is something I didn't know about, so this is amazing.
Yeah, it's it all works together. I mean, like, when Ezra Taft Benson, when he was talking about the Gentiles, he says if they try to overthrow liberty in the Constitution, their doom is fixed. And so we're already to the point where abomination of desolation is about to happen. Okay, and then this follows immediately thereafter.
Wow.
And if you look at the difference between July 3rd and October 3rd, when the Feast of Trumpets happened, that's only 90 days. That's pretty immediate, isn't it?
Yes.
And I expect that the Lord will gather the elect to Adam-ondi-Ahman, and that they will be there for the meeting and for this appearance when it happens. So let's go back here again, and here's some more information on the comet from Wikipedia. It says the comet will pass perihelion. That means that it's closest position to the sun at a distance of 0.39 AU on 27 September 2024, when it is expected to be visible to the naked eye. So September 27, that's only 20 days before Feast of Tabernacles. So that's kind of mind-boggling. And go ahead.
I just said that so soon.
It is all very soon. But this had to happen sometime, right? We can't
Yeah.
And how wicked is the world? They're trying to take over everything. They're threatening us with taking over our money and with AI, artificial intelligence, and every other threat you can think of. They're threatening our kids. They're threatening, morality. They're bad dudes, and something needs to happen. So like I say, that's only 20 days. So let's go back to a statement by Joseph Smith where he talks about the second coming. He says, it will be small at first, or he's talking about the sign of the Son of Man. He says it will be small at first appearance and will gradually become larger until every eye shall see it. And then he further says, it will be small at first and will grow larger and larger until it will be all ablaze, so that every eye shall see it. Sounds pretty much like what Wikipedia described right here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Mhm.
Okay. So that pretty much winds up the presentation. A lot to
Frank,
think about.
it says right under there that it says, shall the saints understand it? Oh, yes. Shall the wicked understand it? Oh, no. So as it's small at first and grows larger and larger, so that every eye shall see it, I guess that they would only be seeing like a comet or, type thing coming at them. They're not going to have an understanding of what this bright planet or, city is,
Right.
right?
Right. They won't.
So
But
science is going to explain it away.
yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine though, they're expecting it to come, around the sun and whip past the earth and go back out into the solar system. Okay.
Okay.
When it slows and diverts, they're going to lose their cookies.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think? And they're going to say, oh, what is this? But the saints, I mean, we have all this, all these scriptures that we've been talking about here. This is all connected. We can understand what's going on. We have the opportunity to understand. And that's what this presentation is all about, is connecting all the dots. We see abomination, desolation coming upon us. We're the those in our nation who are warmongers are trying to pick fights with Russia and China.
Mhm.
They're just provoking two nuclear powers, and poking the bear. And I think Joseph Smith said, he says, when Russia or the bear lays its paw upon the lion, which is England, okay, he says it won't be very long. And so to me, that's saying when the abomination of desolation happens, because Europe's to a certain degree is going to get caught up in that as well. It'll be
Well, yeah.
it'll be the Eastern versus Western, or the East versus NATO. Okay, NATO's being very foolish, and they're going to get burned.
Yeah.
So, okay, is there any other final questions or comments?
So if we went to that website, the Millennial Dawn, will we, is it your slideshow or will it be you speaking?
Well, actually, we're going to use one of these Zoom meetings. Probably we'll turn it into a YouTube video, so that people can get an idea. But we're also going to be repeating this process. We'll be doing it again next Sunday night, and sooner or later we'll get one that will maybe some of them are going to be better presentations than others. This is the first time I've been all the way through it with anyone. So
Oh, it was fascinating, and all I can think of is I want my sister to hear. So I'm just
okay.
like wanting to direct her to this too. So maybe if you have extra room, I'd love to join her with a Zoom next week or something.
Yeah.
But thank you, Frank. I have a lot to think about now. So some new things I didn't consider too. So I really learned a lot. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks so much for coming. Maria, do you have any comments?
Thanks, Frank, for all you did. Keep up the good work. We appreciate all you do.
Okay, thanks. I can see Maria's lips moving, but I don't hear anything. She's not muted, but I'm not hearing.
Okay, can you hear me?
There we go. Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to thank you, and I've kind of been doing two things this whole time, listening mostly. I did have a question when you were talking about the Feast of Trumpets. Did you have an approximate time for that? Is that because
Well,
I
that's, yeah, trumpets is October 3rd, 2024.
and so okay,
So
because
these feasts are all set. The time for these feasts are set, and they follow rules that were laid down by Moses, and the Jews commemorate them every year.
yeah.
So yeah, you can
Okay.
just look that up on the internet and find out when trumpets, atonement, and tabernacles, occur in 2024.
And we talk a lot about, just with the last general conference, everybody, people that are talking about the coming of the Lord outside of conference, are talking about his coming. And what I'm interested in, just because I have family that I'm watching out for, that nobody else in my family, my husband, nobody else is watching the way I am. Concerned about, what will happen before he comes, because we know there are the tribulations, right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about the Feast of Trumpets, we're talking about him coming, like the, don't we have, doesn't there have to be some really bad,
Oh, well,
3 years or
you
7
you
years?
you may have
bad?
you may have joined us a little later in the discussion, but abomination of desolation precedes this.
Okay.
So, and that's going to be
Okay.
pretty bad. And what I can do is I can take what I've got here. We're recording this, and I could turn it into a YouTube video and post it it'd be the first one. But I think we're going to be able to do a better job, when I get a little more practice at this Zoom stuff. But I've enjoyed this time together, and thanks so much for all of your assistance.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
And I see it's only 9:17, so it didn't really take all that long, did it?
No, it wasn't bad. Thank you, Frank, so much.
Okay, thanks. Catch y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.